Hi, this is Alimayo Arango of ArangoDigitalProduction.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a cartoon lion inside of Blender 2.70a, so let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Also, if you are on a laptop, it might be beneficial for you to put a check mark here where it says Emulate Number Pad. What this does is this allows the view keys, which are normally on the full keyboard, the keys all the way to the right, to work like the laptop keys, number keys at the top of a laptop keyboard. Also, while we're in here, if you click on add-ons, to do this tutorial, you're going to want to have these check marks here. What you want to make sure you have a check mark for inset polygon. Also make sure you have a check mark next to mesh loop tools. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is to hit 1 on your number keypad. This will take you in the front view. In Blender, you generally work in 2 modes. One mode is object mode, the other mode is edit mode. For most of this tutorial, we're going to be in edit mode. So you can hit tab to go into edit mode. You can also select right here to go into edit mode. Now what you're going to do is hit W to bring up your specials menu. You're going to select subdivide smooth right here. You're then going to look to your left for where your number of cuts are, and you're going to take this up to 3. Now you can roll with your mouse wheel to zoom in a little bit. You're going to hit Z to make this mesh be transparent. Hit A to deselect. You're going to hit B to box select, and you're going to draw a box just around this part of the mesh right here. Make sure you have, there's 3 ways you can select in Blender. There's vertices, edges, and faces. You're going to select faces. You're then going to hit X to delete the faces, and you're just deleted. You wanted to delete half of this mesh right here. You also want to make sure that your cursor is directly in the center of this mesh after you delete it. If by some chance you right clicked and your cursor went off to the edge, you can hit Shift C and it'll put your cursor right back into the center of your mesh. It needs to be directly in the center for your mirror modifier to work correctly. So what you're going to do now is look to this menu right here. You're going to select this wrench. You're then going to click mirror, and what this does is this just copies this side over to this side, and basically effectively allows us to do half of the work. So if you select right here, this little triangle looking object, it'll make it look like this modifier added part is already applied. You also want to make sure you have clipping selected, and this will allow the modifier part, which isn't really there yet. It kind of looks like it. Basically, the clipping allows this part and this part to stay together, and it also gives us some extra options as far as modeling. This tutorial was requested by one of my viewers. They said they needed a lion for a project they were working on. A lot of this tutorial is heavily based on David Ward's Jackie Boy tutorial, where he was modeling a dog, and that helped me out a lot. I added some parts to it, and basically, just wanted to give David Ward credit, give credit where it's due. So, moving on, what we want to do is, you can hit Z to make this solid. We're going to take these, you're going to go to your vertice select, and we're just going to adjust the front of this for where the lion's muzzle is going to come out. So this is going to be a lion's head, and muzzle part's going to come out right here. What we can do now also is we can hit, we're going to apply a subdivision surface to here. Now you can either apply the subdivision surface by clicking here and selecting the subdivision surface, or you can just hit A, like I'm going to do here, and hit Control 2, and that automatically applies a subdivision surface with a view of 2 to it. Okay, with the subdivision surface on, we're going to hit W to bring up our specials menu. Then we're then going to select the shade smooth. Okay, with that done now, you're going to select your face menu here. Now you're going to select these faces right here, just holding Shift, and I'm just selecting them. You're selecting 8 faces here, and what you're going to do is hit E to extrude on the Y-axis and just bring this out just like that. And then I'm going to hit S to scale. Just scale it down about like that. Pull it out a little bit more. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hit E to extrude. Left click to lock in. Then we're going to hit S to scale. Scale in about like that. Left click to lock in. You're then going to hit E to extrude on the Y axis. Take it back about that far. You're then going to hit E to extrude on the Y axis again. And now you're going to hit Control R. Put in 3 loop cuts right here by rolling your, after you hit Control R, just roll the mouse wheel 2 more times. When you roll the mouse wheel, it brings in more loop cuts. I'm going to left click to lock in. I'm going to left click again to fully lock in. Now with that selected, we're going to grab this face right here and this face right here. Actually, let's grab all this. We're going to pull this up. And actually, what we're going to hit is we're going to hit Alt O to turn on a proportional edit. We're going to hit G so we can see it. When you do proportional edit, if you roll your mouse wheel, you can change your area of influence. You hit G. G allows you to see the area of influence. Then if you hit on, if you don't have a mouse wheel to roll, if you're on the mouse or the laptop, you can hit either page up or page down. But with that area of influence about like this, we're just going to pull up about like that. Okay, and we're actually gonna, I'm actually gonna grab, I'm gonna hold Alt, I'm gonna go to my edge select, I'm gonna hold Alt, select right here and hit G twice and slide this edge loop down a little bit. I'm gonna hit hold Alt, lets me grab this whole edge loop and hit G twice, slide this edge loop down a little bit. And I'm gonna go back to face select and select this face here, that face there, and I'm going to hit R to rotate on the X-axis. That I'm going to hit G and roll my area of influence down just a little bit. Hit R to rotate on the X-axis again. And just pull that face out like that. I'm going to hit G and roll the mouse wheel down a little bit more. That's good for now. Generally with the tutorials I do, I try to get the basic shape down, so I really don't worry too much about getting the fine details in the beginning. I try to get the basic shape and then I try to come back later and shape it up. So as we're going through that, just keep that in mind. Okay, so now what we're going to do is hit E to extrude, and we'll just let it extrude on its own axis about that far out. And we're going to hit S to scale on the X-axis just to bring this in just a little bit. We're going to vertice select, and we'll grab this vertice right here and just push that in a little. And what we're going to do is grab here, pull this down a little bit, pull this out a little bit just to shape this muzzle part a little bit. Okay, come back up to the nose. We're going to hit Control R. We're going to put a loop cut right here. Then we're going to hit Control R. We're going to put another loop cut. So wherever you move your mouse, the loop cut will go. Another loop cut right there. Then we're going to hit Control R and put another loop cut right here. The reason why we're putting those loop cuts is just so that we can have a fairly hard edge, so that this nose is prominent. So I'm just going to hit G so I can lower my area of influence down a little bit more. I'm going to hit G and then Y. Pull that back a little bit. I'm just doing slight adjustments to the nose. I know I said don't do fine detail, just a little bit of adjustments here. Okay, I'm going to hit 3 on the number keypad to go to side view. I'm going to hit Z to go to transparent mode. I'm going to hit A just to make sure I'm not selected on anything. I'm going to hit A again and then A again. I just hit the A's all those times just to make sure nothing was selected. I'm going to hold Control and the right mouse button. I'm just going to grab all of this muzzle part right here, and I'm just going to take my manipulator and just pull it out just a little bit. Not too much far, a little bit further. I'm going to hit Z to make it solid again. I'm also going to hit S to scale on the Z axis. Nope. Just no, I don't want to do them. Don't do that. Yeah, that muzzle can stay the same size for now. We're going to go back to our side view. I'm going to hit Z again. I'm going to hit A to deselect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a 3 on the number view pad just so I can go in full orthographic view, which lets you see almost a perfect 2D example here. You can see your right ortho view right here. What you're going to do is hold Control and the right mouse button. You're going to draw a loop, and I'm drawing around the inside of the mouth, and I'm also drawing around the bottom part of the jaw here. I grabbed this by accident, so I'm going to hit C for paint select. I'm going to hold my middle mouse button, which lets me deselect vertices. I'm just holding my middle mouse button, turn it to the front, and I'm just going to open the mouth up a little bit wider there. Okay, now what we're going to do is zoom in with vertices select still on. If your manipulator here gets in your way, you can hit Control Space to take it out of the way. I'm going to select here, hold Shift, select here, hitting G. So I can see my area of influence from my proportional edit tool, and then I'm going to hit Y to drag back. And as I'm dragging back, I'm rolling my mouse wheel to increase my area of influence. Okay, I'm going to grab here and here now, and again hit G and Y to go back on the Y axis. Take that back a little bit more. I grab inside here. I grab that vertice right inside there. I'm hitting G on the Y axis and just pull them back just a little bit more like that. Okay, remember I told you guys with the mirror modifier, I have this little arrow triangle looking symbol on. And what that does, it allows this part of the modifier look like it's actually applied. This subdivision modifier has a similar type thing. When I click here, you can see it. The model looks a lot cleaner. The reason why I choose to work with this off is that if I hit this eye, so you can see the modifier not working, you can see the actual geometry right here. And when I click the eye back on, with this triangle not clicked, where you see it being super clean, it kind of gives me the best of both worlds. I can see the smoothness of the model, but at the same time I can see the geometry of the model, and it just seems like this keeping this unclicked makes things a little bit easier to work with. Okay, one of the things we have to do with this is with dogs have a muzzle that curves down. Like I said, this is heavily inspired by David Ward, who's one of my favorite Blender tutorial makers. But one of the differences between this and his dog model is lions have their muzzle doesn't tend to really bend. It tends to be straight from their eyes right to like their nose. Okay, with that done, what we want to do is grab this vertice right here, push the eye in here. We can also push this in. Sometimes it'll be beneficial just to see here. So we're actually gonna okay, this right here is going to eventually end up being the eye socket. So what we're going to do is hit Control R to put a loop cut in there. We're going to hit Control R again to put a loop cut there. And then just slightly adjust this. Let me turn this off. Yeah, like I said, sometimes this is good to turn on just because you can see the individual vertices a little bit better there. Okay, what you're going to do now is go to Face Select. You're going to select these 4 faces right here. You're going to hit E to extrude on the y-axis. Take them back a bit. You're going to hit S to scale in. That thing getting to me a little bit. Okay, fine. I'm going to hit R and X to rotate just slightly. And hit S to scale. Take this back a little bit more. Pull these in just a little bit. I'm going to hit Control R to put a loop cut right here. I'm actually going to hold Alt with the edge selected right here. Push this in just a little bit. I'm going to grab these 4 faces right here. Hit X to delete the faces. I'm actually going to grab this. Go to edge select, grab this edge right here and push this up just a little bit like that. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the y-axis, and hit S to scale on the x-axis. Shape up these side part just a little bit. Like I said, the main thing is get the basic details and then we'll come back to it. Okay, now what we're going to do is with the edge select on, we're going to select right here. I'm going to hold Alt and select this edge right here. I'm now going to hit Shift S, and I'm going to put a cursor to selected. Puts the cursor directly in the center there. I'm going to hit Tab to go into object mode. I'm now going to hit Shift A to bring up the add menu. I'm going to go to Mesh, UV Sphere. I'm going to take this segments, turn this down to 12. Turn these rings right here down to 12. And then I'm going to hit Tab to go into the edit mode, because basically what we did was we came out of the edit mode of the original cube, which is most of the lines heads in. Then we went to, brought this UV sphere in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis 90. I'm going to hit Alt O to turn off the proportional edit, and I'm going to hit S to scale, just to scale this eye down like this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control 2. That automatically puts a subdivision on it. That automatically adds a subdivision modifier on it, which puts a view of 2 on there. I'm now going to hit W, bring it specials menu. I'm going to go to shade smooth. Whoops. Now I'm going to go in, and I'm going to hit there's a local mode where you can work without things around. Sometimes it makes it easier. So if you look at your number keypad, there's like there's a backslash key right next to number lock. I'm going to select that, and that puts me into local mode. Okay, so now in local mode, what I'm going to do is I am going to hit Control R to bring up a loop cut. I'm going to put a loop cut right here. And then I'm going to hit Control R again to put another loop cut right here. I'm now going to select the face select, and I am going to zoom in and select right here, and I'm actually going to hit S. Actually, that's right. I'm going to hit Alt S just to scale in just a little bit. Actually, is that what I want? Let me hit Control Z. I think that's not what. Actually, I don't want that. I don't want this loop. I want this loop right here. I'm going to hit hold Alt and select this loop right here. I'm going to hit Alt S. Not too much, just a little. I'm going to hit A to deselect there. I'm going to hit Control R, put another loop cut in. I'm going to put one more loop cut just to make sure this is as sharp as I want it to be. And I'm going to hit tab to come out, and that looks good. Nice placeholder for now, or not even placeholder. This is good for the eye for now. Not sure if we'll do more in the eye later or not, but anyway, we're going to hit on the number lock, that backspace key. If you look right here, if you're ever wondering, like suppose you saved this file and you came back to it and you're like, how come I can't see anything but the eye? If you look right here, you can see it says user perspective local. So that lets you know that most likely some things are hidden. So you just hit the backspace and lo and behold, everything is right back now. Okay, now with everything back, what we can do is we're going to hit a Control L to, do I want to do that now? Yeah, why not? I'm going to hit Control L, and what I'm now going to do is hit Shift C, which puts the cursor directly in the center of the object. I'm going to hit 1 on the number keypad, and I am in front ortho, as you can see right there, holding Shift and my middle mouse button just to pan. Now with this cursor right here, what I'm going to do is go right here, change this to 3D cursor. This is the pivot point. I'm changing it, the 3D cursor to be the pivot point. And basically what that allows me to do is with this eye selected, I'm going to hit Shift D. I'm going to clone it, right? So here's the additional eye. I'm going to right click, it goes right back. You can't see it, but it's there right on top of that eye. Then I'm going to hit S to scale and the x-axis -1. Left click to lock in, and it puts that duplicate exactly on the other side of the face there. Okay, now what we're going to do is hit tab to go out of the eye mode, and then select back onto the original cube where the line head's at. Hit tab to come into here. Okay, now back in here, let's select vertice. I'll hit Alt O to turn the proportional edit back on. Push this up. Whoops. Don't do what I just did. See this is, we did the pivot option for the eye. I forgot that Blender's default pivot point is the medium point. That's how you want it. So don't do like I just did and forget. See, right now this thing looks kind of like a bear. We're going to play with the muzzle. Like I said, don't worry about it too much right now, because we can always come back. Pulling these, playing with these vertices just a little. Got to be careful if you push too hard. See that vertices jumping? Because we have a mirror modifier on there, sometimes it'll jump. So you got to be careful while you're working with the mirror modifier that it doesn't, I think I just did it. I did it again. Control Z. I'll pull these. You piece of crap. I'm trying to pull it out. As soon as I touch it, it's an interesting thing. That's very interesting. I'm going to actually hit Control Z, turn off clipping. By turning off clipping, it allowed me to not have that weird. It still looks like it did something weird. Okay, I hit Control Z again. Turn clipping back on. Maybe it's a proportional edits making it do that crap. Hit Control Z, back again. Turn off the proportional edit. Everything's good now. Nope. Control Z. Turn off clipping. Spread this now. Turn off clipping. That's still it's interesting. Okay. But yeah, it looks kind of like a bear right now. I guess because I pulled the nose out maybe a little bit too far. So well, we'll go for a chin. Typically, lions have bigger chins than even the other big cats. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to edge select. We're going to select this edge right here. We're going to hit GG to edge slide this thing back like that. Then we're going to go to face select. We're going to grab the faces right here. I'm going to hit Alt O to turn the proportional edit back on. We're going to push this down some. Like that, maybe drag it forward a little bit. Grab this, push this up some. Whoops. That was interesting. Yeah, we'll grab this and pull that down some. The lions have their chins are pretty big compared to other cats, and like some of that dogs and bears and stuff, their chins tend to be pretty small relatively, where the lions is pretty big. That helps it lose a little bit of that bear look thing that's going on. Let's maul out a little bit more. That's interesting. That eye looks good. Worry about that stuff later. I'm actually going to hit 3 on the number keypad. Hit Z. I'm going to go in, grab this, make it a little bit smaller. Put in just a little bit because lions' noses tend to be fairly short. Okay, what we'll do now is we'll grab this brow right here. I'm going to hit E to extrude. Actually, I'm going to Control Z that. I don't want to extrude on the axis. I'm just going to hit E to extrude. Like this. I'm going to hit S to scale. I'm just going to pull this in a little bit. I think I did David Ward actually this service. I said he's one of my favorite Blender tutorial makers. He's probably my favorite guys. Pretty amazing. I mean, if I get stuck making something, David Ward has some kind of ideas that tend to almost seem to always help out. Anyway, so yeah, you just want to push that that brow out like there. Now what we'll do is we'll, with these face selects they will, and we'll select here, we'll select these 6 faces. We'll hit E to extrude. I just turned off that modifier where it lets you see everything, because it looks a lot nicer with this on. But I tend to find that your geometry, you can it really can start getting, you really can start getting far away from where you want to go with that on. So anyway, with these 6 faces selected, we're going to hit E to extrude, left click to lock in, and we're going to hit, whoops, what the heck happened? Oh, the proportional edit's on, that's what I'm going to hit Alt O to turn the proportional edit off. Then you're going to hit, I think I just extruded twice, I'm sorry people. Maybe Control Z just to make sure. Okay, there we go. So this is without the extrude. You can see it changed. I'm going to hit E one time, left click to lock in, S to scale. There we go. S to scale like that. And then I'm going to hit S to scale on the Y axis like this. Then I'm going to hit R to rotate on the Y axis a little bit like that. Now I'm just going to hit E to extrude and let this ride out. Here's things ears. I'm going to turn this on temporarily just so I can grab the vertices right here, pull this up some, slight adjustments around the ears, make them a little bit wider. I'm just pulling and pushing vertices here. The eye is going to bother me just the way it's darker like that. I don't know why. Anyway. Slightly adjusting the ears here. Okay, now, and with that selected, now we're going to go to face select. We're going to select all these faces here on the ear. I'm holding shift. I'm just holding shift and selecting all the faces here. I'm going to hit E to extrude. Left click to lock in. Did I want those there too? I'm sorry, I know I'm making a lot of mistakes. I'm going to grab these faces here also. So all I did was Control Z. I went back, now I'm hitting E to extrude. And now I'm hitting S to scale in. Let me turn this thing off here. I'm going to hit E to extrude and bring this in on the Y axis here. Sometimes you're extruding, you're not sure how to go forward. It helps to actually push through and then watch to see where, you know, to see how far you went. You can actually push through and use that, the fact that it will go through to your advantage. Okay, so now let's grab these edges right here. Just push in a little bit. I'm going to actually hit Control Z. I'm going to turn on Alt O. I'm going to hit G so I can see my area of influence. Bring it up some. I'm just going to push over again here. Push up a little bit there. Let's take a look at this thing. Okay, it's coming along. Okay, as far as that eye is bugging me, and I now know that that is the reason why. See how this eye is off? It looks funny. I duplicated that eye over, right, and went exactly on the other side. I'm gonna hit Tab. So basically, we went out of the object mode that was his head, and we went into the object mode that's these eyes. And basically, the reason why that eye is dark like that is because the normals were somehow messed up when I took it over. So what you can do is hit Control N, and it recalculates your normal. So now you can see it looks like the other eye. So now I went and hit Tab. I came back out of edit mode of the eye. Now I'm back in the object mode on the lion. So now I'm back into the edit mode of the lion. Okay, and let's try to get this thing looking a little more lion-like and a little bit less bear-like. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to select right here, pull this down, whoops, and get that line. If you ever have a problem with this manipulator, just say Control Space, temporarily takes it away. Control Space brings it right back. So we'll pull that down a little bit. Now we're going to hit 3 to go into right orthographic mode. We'll hit Z to go transparent. I'm going to hit A to deselect everything. I'm going to hit A again to select everything, and A again just to make sure everything is deselected. Now we're going to hit hold Control, hold the right mouse button. I'm going to grab all of this right here. I'm just going to push back just slightly like that. Now I'm going to hit A to deselect. I'm going to turn off the proportional edit. I'm going to hit Alt O to turn it off. You can see right here is where that proportional edit is on. Here's connected, which we're using. Connected basically tries to only edit things that are directly connected to what you're doing. You know, enable is like just anything that comes in your area of influence, and you know, you can either click here to turn it on, or click here to turn it off, or hit O to make it just regular proportional edit on, or Alt O to make the connected proportional edit. Anyway, for this we need it to be off, so we're going to hit now hold Control right mouse button, and it allows us to draw a loop. So we're just drawing it around this top muzzle here. I actually want vertices. Select all these extra vertices right here that we don't want. We hit C, we go to Paint Select, and then when in Paint Select, you can see if I roll the mouse wheel down, it goes smaller. Roll it back, it goes bigger. If you hold the middle mouse button anywhere where you paint while holding the middle mouse button, we'll deselect. So we can just deselect, you know, the stuff of the eye, because we just want just the muzzle. Okay, now with the muzzle just selected, now we're going to hit S to scale on the Z axis and just bring that down. We'll hit Z to make it transparent, which still having it. Yeah, that's looking better already. Now we'll hit S to scale on the X axis. About like there. That looks a lot more lion-like, and now he looks cartoony like I want it, but a little bit too friendly. So what we're going to do is hit Alt O, which is going to turn our proportional connected edit back on. And then we'll just push down like here, push forward a little bit so he doesn't look quite so super happy. And now I'm going to take the middle mouse button, just turn to the side. See this line right here? You can kind of see like here's the box that makes to the back of his head. What you're going to want to do is grab pretty much all this stuff right here. So you're going to hit C. Whoops, make sure you're on face select. You're going to hit C and grab all of this right here. Actually, you know what? Go back or take that hit. You can hit A to deselect everything. Actually, I want to grab all of this right here. So I'm going to hit C to paint select and select all of this, these faces right here. I'm going to hit S to scale just a little bit. I'm going to hit E to extrude. I'm going to hit S to scale up a little bit. Then I'm going to hit E to extrude again. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis. Just pull this up, something like that. 3D, you almost always want to sit there and look around top to sides to make sure things aren't getting too crazy. I'm going to hit S to scale on the z-axis. And what I'm going to do is hit E to extrude on the y-axis, straight back. I'm going to aim to make 3 segments. I just held shift to pan with the middle mouse button. I'm going to hit E to extrude on the y-axis again. And one more time, E to extrude on the y-axis, about like that. And then I'm going to hit Z on the number keyboard, hit A to deselect. I'm going to hit 3 to go in the side view. I'm going to hold Control, hold my middle mouse button, and just grab this to go. Grab all this right here, and I'm going to hit W and just smooth. It just kind of gives you smooth out the body. You can do it again. See, there's still a hard edge, so we can hit W and hit smooth yet again. You can do it a couple times. Okay, and now with that out there, what we want to do is we're going to hit A to deselect. We're actually going to put a loop cut right here, another loop cut here, pretty much loop cuts in between almost all the other loop cuts like there. We're gonna grab the edge for this neck right here, hit S to scale on the x-axis. Actually, I'm gonna hit Control Z. Let's try Alt S, much better. Grab this, see if we can grab this loop cut right here, and it won't grab. That's okay. We'll grab this loop cut here again. I just held Alt with edge and it grabs the entire loop there. So I'm going to hold Alt S. It's kind of weird looking what it did, but that's fine for now. Okay, we're going to hit Z. The body's actually too small. We're going to hit A. Easy fixable. Going to hit 3 on the number keypad, hold Alt, grab around the body again. We're going to hit the vertice select. We're going to hit Alt S, and then we're going to hit S to scale on the y-axis. Right? See how it's coming there? That's fine. Just drag it back. Shouldn't be any problems. Then we'll hit Z to get out of that. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to grab, let's see, do I have enough? Okay, we're going to hit A to deselect. Whoops. Hit A to deselect. I'm going to hit Alt O to turn off the proportional edit. We're actually going to grab these 4 faces right here. I'm holding Shift to grab all 4 of them. You want to have 4 spaces in between. I'm going to hit S to scale, and S to scale, just S to scale, no axis. Then I'm going to hit S to scale on the x-axis. I'm actually going to hit the eyes so that I can't see the modifier, but just before I set up the eyes like this, the arms like this, sorry. When I hit E to extrude, push these in a little bit. I'm going to hit W to Actually, when I hit a W, go to my loop tools and hit circle. I'm going to hit E to extrude down to about where the elbows would be at. I'm going to E to extrude, make a little elbow piece right there. Hit R to rotate on the x-axis. Just a little. I'm going to hit E to extrude. Whoa, what the heck happened there? Okay, to about there. Push this in just a little. We can adjust these later on. Actually, let me Control Z, no extrusion. Let me hit S to scale. Bring that in. E to extrude. Wrist part. E to extrude again. I'm just gonna take my manipulator and adjust this so it's going forward. R to rotate on the x-axis. Like I said, don't get freaked out. You can change this up later on. We're going to S to scale on the y-axis 0 just to make that flat going forward. Hit S to scale to make it bigger. Just push it straight forward like that. I'm going to hit S to scale on the x-axis to make it wider. Let me grab this edge loop right here. Hold Alt, grab right here. And hit Alt S, make this a little bit bigger right there. I'm going to go to vertice select, put this vertice right here. I'm going to select the faces here, hold shift, grab these 4 faces, hit X, delete these faces. Now I'm going to go to vertice select. Hit K for the knife tool. I'm going to cut here. Cut a little square pattern just like that. Hit enter to get out of knife. I'm going to do the same thing on this side right here. Hit K for the knife. Cut a square pattern here. Hit enter for the knife. Now with the vertices still selected, I'm going to pull this in a little bit. Zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. With this vertice selected, I'm going to hit Shift D, left click to lock in. I just duplicated this vertice. I'm going to pull this vertice out here. With that vertice pulled out and selected, I'm going to hold Shift and select this vertice, and this vertice here. With all those vertices collected, I'm going to hit F, the F key. I'm not going to select this vertice again, or the last vertice created. I'm going to hit Shift D, duplicate it, left click to lock it in. Pull it over to the side here. With that vertice selected, hold Shift, select these vertices right here. Hit F to fill the face. Same thing again. Grab that vertice, hit Shift D, pull it over, hold Shift, grab these vertices right here, hit F. And then now I'm going to hit this vertice here, this vertice all stretched out over there. I'm going to hit Control Space temporarily, take away the manipulator, select this vertice, and hit F for there. And now I'm going to select this vertice here, this vertice, hit F to fill. Select this vertice, and this one, F to fill. Repeat, F to fill. F to fill. Okay. Now I'm going to turn the proportional editing back on by hitting Alt O. I'm going to select these bottom edges here, holding Shift. Now I'm going to hit G to grab. Just push them up like that. Actually went better than I thought. This one is kind of whacked out here, so I'm going to grab this vertice right here. Camera like this did a weird thing on me. Hit Control Space and pull it, readjust it. not a perfect pull. We'll work with it for now. Hit Alt O to turn this manipulator back off. Got something weird going on here. Okay, there it goes. Undoing what I just did. Okay. My brain was going on autopilot for a second. Anyway, I'm going to select these faces right here. And what I'm going to do is hit go to mesh, go to extrude, and extrude individual faces like this. Now I'll hit S to scale. Wait a second, those faces should not be together, and they aren't. Good. So because we hit extrude individual faces, even though they came out together, they're actually separated, which is actually kind of cool. So we'll select the faces again, and we'll do it again. We'll hit we actually need that. No, we don't even need that. We'll hit E to extrude on the y-axis. Take them out like this. We'll come back to those later. Okay, now we'll hit a Control R to put an edge loop right here. We'll hit Alt O to give this a little bit more shape there. Whoops. Hit Control Z. Now we'll hit GG. Now let us slide. Hit Alt S, not O. I said Alt O before for whatever reason. I probably was thinking of the proportional edit. Alt S. We'll do the same thing here. Control R for a loop cut. Lock it in. We'll hit Alt S to make it a little bit bigger there. We'll hit A to deselect. We'll go to we'll hold Shift and Alt. Grab these two pieces of the elbow. We'll hit Alt O to turn the proportional edit on. Hit G so we can see the proportional edit. Then we'll hit Y so we can drag this back some, like that. And all this stuff, don't let it, get to you. Like I said, we'll clean it up a little bit more a little bit later. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually hit A, deselect. We're going to hit C to go transparent. Hold Control and the right mouse button to grab right here. We'll hit Z so we can see again. We're going to hit Shift D. And hit Control Z. I'm going to turn off this proportional edit by hitting Alt O. It's another beautiful David Ward trick, just duplicating the front legs and then modifying the back legs to give you what you need, which is very cool. So to do that, we're going to hit Z, deselect. Sorry, Z makes you go transparent, Z to go solid. I'm sorry. Sometimes when you're doing these things, you're working on them, your mouth says different things. To be honest, a tutorial, depending on how fast it goes, if it goes very fast, normally you can have it done in about 4 hours. If you're making mistakes and things, sometimes it'll take up to 8 hours to get a tutorial done. So sometimes I'll say a mistake and somebody will be like, hey, you said this. I'm like, yeah, I worked on that tutorial for like 8 hours. Anyway, my brain. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hit Z to go transparent. Whoops. What the heck just happened there? I'm going to hit Control Z, so whatever I did is undid. I'm going to hit Z to go transparent again. Hit A to deselect. I'm holding the middle mouse button just because I want to grab these loops right here. So I'm holding Control now on the right mouse button to drag here. I'm going to just pull this up. And then I'm going to hit Z to make this solid again. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the edge select. I'm going to select this edge right here. And I'm actually going to hit X, and I'm going to delete this edge loop. I'm going to hit Alt O, grab this edge loop and push it forward. Move it like that, and I'm going to hit Control L to grab this entire leg. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the Y axis. I'm actually going to hold Alt, select faces. I'm going to select these faces right here. I'm going to hit X and delete these faces. Another cool David Ward trick is if you grab, or I learned it from him anyway, I'm going to hold Alt, select these vertices right here, right? So I selected the edge loop, I held Alt, I grabbed here. If you look up here, you can see there's 8 verts. You can see edges, faces. So we need to, this is what's important, that there's 8 vertices here, right? So now what we need to do is have 8 vertices here to connect this to on the body. So we're going to hit A to deselect. We're going to grab these faces right here. Hit X to bring up the delete menu, delete the faces. Then we're going to go to select the edge. We're going to hold Alt. And when we look here, you see we see 8 verts here. And when we select here, 8 verts here, which allows us to know that we can connect this to here and not really have too much of a problem. So I'm going to hit Control L to grab this entire, because I grabbed this edge here. Whenever you hit Control L, you can grab most of what your grab what your you selected is connected to them. So I'm just going to push this forward here like that. And then I'm going to go to the edge select. I'm going to go back to this edge. I'm going to hold Alt yet again. I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm going to hold Alt while holding Shift. Select right here. Now I'm going to hit W. When we first started this tutorial, I told you go to add-ons and put a check mark next to loop tools. If you did that, you'll see this. And what you're going to do is hit that W key, brings up your specials menu. You're going to go here to bridge, and then it just puts a bridge right to the leg, right from here to here. And then, yeah, I know it looks funny. We'll clean it up. Okay, I'm going to hit Z. I'm going to hold Control and the middle mouse button, grab right here. Whoops. Hit A. Control the middle mouse button, grab right here. I'm going to hit Alt O to turn on the proportional edit tool. Okay, and with that on, I'm gonna hold Control, the right mouse button, and grab right here. Take my manipulator and just pull this back some like that. Hit Z so we can see everything that's going on here. Okay, let's hit Z to go transparent. Grab all this right here. We're gonna hit G for our proportional edit, and we're going to hit X just to pull this in closer to the body. We can adjust it, you know, like that. Now we're going to hit S to shrink it down. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the X axis just to change the angle. Pull back like that. A little bit. Now those super long arms there, we're going to hit A to deselect. I'm holding Control and the right mouse button to grab these arms right here. Hitting Z. I'm hitting S to scale down with the proportional edit. S to scale down even more. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the X axis. Now I am going to, let's see, I'm going to hit A to deselect, Z to go transparent. holding control in the right mouse button. I'm now going to hit Z to go transparent, solid, G to grab on the X axis. Pull them in like this. And I'm going to hit R to rotate on the Y axis. Pull these in yet again like that. I'm going to hit A to deselect, Z to go transparent. And we're going to hold control and right mouse and draw a loop. I'm going to hit Z to go solid. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the Z axis for these pawls here. Okay, let's put a loop cut right here. I'm going to hit Control R. Whoops. Control Z to go back. Just hit Control G just so I can grab that line. I'm going to hit Alt S. Like that. A little bit thicker. One of the things with lions is they have kind of like their shoulder blades kind of right up here. So we're going to hit Control R. I want that. Yeah, why not? So what we're going to do here is we're going to grab these faces right here, holding Shift. Actually, this right here. We're going to hit Alt S. Just make that thicker. Pull that up some. Grab this here, push this down some. He'll hit R to rotate on the X axis. Lions have a dip in their back. And we'll go into sculpting mode and clean up a lot of this also. Matter of fact, let's grab. I'm going to hit A to deselect. I'm going to hit paint select and grab all this right here. I'm going to hit Z to go transparent, hit Control and right select to drag a lasso, and hit Z to go solid. A lot of tutorials I've done before, I've done them so many times. I had them pretty much. I could pretty much just go through them. I had the steps for the most part memorized in my mind. This one you can actually, I guess, see me kind of thinking my way through it. I'm gonna hit R to rotate on the X axis. Pull this back a little bit. Grab these vertices here. I'm actually going to hit S to scale on the Y axis 0. Granted, made them have a totally flat butt. I'm going to hit W to go to smooth. Smooth it out a little bit. W and smooth yet again. But what we want to do is grab these faces right here. Let me turn this back on. Just taking a look at it. I'm going to hit S to scale on the X axis. And I hit Alt O to turn the proportional edit off, and I'm going to hit E to extrude. Left click to lock in, pull out just a little. I'm going to hit E to extrude again, just let it ride out. Oh no, I'll let it go E to extrude here, then I'll hit E to extrude again, E to extrude again. Then I'm going to hit Control R, put a loop cut there. Control R, put a loop cut here. Control R, put a loop cut there. Now I'll hit Z to go transparent. grab all that. Excuse me, I'll hit crap. A to deselect. Holding control on the right mouse button. I'm hitting S to scale on the X-axis. That tail. Then as far as the tail not looking totally like a stick or something, I'm hitting S to scale on the Y-axis. We can just grab, we can go to loop select, grab this loop right here, select right on the side, I'll grab the entire loop. Turn our proportional editing on by hitting Alt 0, and then hit G so we can see our area of influence, and then just hit Z. And as we pull down, we can just roll our mouse wheel, and it'll, you know, give us some bend in the tail. Hold Alt, grab another loop cut. Another loop, and just push up some. So it gives us a little bend, and we'll come back and then see how, like, you know, he looks. Yes, he looks strange. We can easily, or fairly easily, adjust him, particularly when we go into scope mode. So we'll go here. We'll hit Z to go transparent, A to deselect. Grab his paw. We'll hit vertice select. I want that top part, so I'm gonna hold Shift in the middle mouse button. I'll hit C to paint select, and then hold the middle mouse button to, you know, deselect. Middle mouse button when you paint select, deselect. I'm gonna hold Alt S. Make his paws bigger. Same thing here. Oops. Holding Shift and the middle mouse button, I'm gonna hold I'm gonna hit A to deselect, Z to go transparent, holding control and the right mouse button. I'm gonna hit R to rotate on the X-axis. Push this forward just a little bit, and I'm gonna hit Alt S to make his paws bigger. I'll hit S scale on the Y-axis to make him even a little bit bigger that way. I'm gonna hit R. Whoops. I'm gonna hit R to rotate on the Y-axis to turn them the right way. Now we'll go into scope mode and make them not look so ugly. So we'll use the grab brush in scope mode. If you hit F and pull, you can change your area of influence as far as your where you're grabbing and pulling. We'll grab that. His shoulders, we'll grab them, put some meat on them. Grabs his just thicken them up some. So I'm gonna hit F, push in, grab out here. Yeah, Blender's scope mode is ridiculously awesome, actually. To have total control in the scope mode, a lot of times it helps to be able to see what you're actually grabbing. So we're going to go back into edit mode. We're going to go to, we're going to select this face right here. I mean, this square right here. We're going to go to wire. And then we are going to, after we get a wire, we'll go back into scope mode, and you'll see all that, which would be very unmanageable. Then you go to your modifier panel and go down here where you can see optimal display. The reason why you see so many squares here is because of the subdivision surface. You just click on optimal display and you're right back where you you know, it's manageable. So now you can grab right on the lines and pretty much pull where you want to pull. And like normally you might pull on a part in scope mode and not know what you're pulling on, but the way scope mode works, you're pretty much pulling on where the loop cuts and everything are. So this just makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, scope mode is great. Just makes it very easy to you know, adjust things. And basically, for the most part, if you get the basic shape of something in scope mode, you'll be able to come into scope mode, and you know, no matter how ugly it initially looks, scope mode allows you to pretty much get it looking nice. These vertices here are trying to give me a hard time. So you can always, if that gives you a hard time in scope mode, you can go to edit mode. I'll just do the same thing. Now I hit G to grab on the Z axis, and I'll just pull that down here, then I can pop right back over in the scope mode. And you know, all the proportions, you know, the arms and stuff like that, like you might have seen in the beginning, like, oh my gosh, he looks so skinny and emancipated. I mean, you can make your people look, your creatures, animals, people, big, small, you know, fairly easily. Like, see, the body's big now, but for the head's too small now. So now we can easily come back in. Here goes Z, and we'll just hit 3 on the number pad. I'll hit a period, which one of my viewers told me a nice way to zoom in. And we'll hit A to make sure we're deselected. See how big the body is now? We'll just grab the head by holding Control on the right mouse button. We'll Z and we'll just hit S to, oops, let me turn off this proportional edit. Hit Alt O to turn it off. Hit S to scale. See, that messed up my eyes. It doesn't look like it did too much. Grab this here, vertice. We'll hit Alt O to turn this back on. Lion's gonna have like that dip. Yeah, and even once you, like, if you pull your geometry and it gets a little lumpy and kind of weird looking, the smooth tool works wonders. Like, see this right here, how this is like squarish, right? Watch this. Go to scope mode, go to smooth. Lovely. See that? That squarish look. This here. And just, you know, grab, pull. Scope mode is pretty fun. It's actually, if you're modeling, you get nervous, you can go to scope mode and feel that, you know, no matter how ugly it's looking, scope mode can almost bring you back. I just lowered down the strength on the smooth tool. Sometimes the smooth tool gets too crazy. So if it gets too crazy, just lower the strength down on it. See that? I mean, you can come in here and just keep playing with your proportions until you get them how you want them. A lot of fun scope mode. As long as you're grabbing, like right here, see that wrist is kind of thick. I can shrink my tool down by holding F, and I can just grab right on the lines. I can fairly easily, you know, make my wrists so that they're not as thick, and my joints, I should say, not wrist. Want to make them, whoops, wrong thing. You want to make your creatures like more muscular. Just come in there and grab right. I mean, it's pretty easy to do. Like I was saying, the lion's shoulders kind of pop up, though it's probably too much. Take the scope, calm that down. I welcome you guys telling me how to make this thing look better, because I am definitely not an expert on lions, though I have learned, I think, a decent amount. As far as some of their, you know, anatomy and stuff, learning how to do this. I'm just running the smooth tool. Like, smooth tool gives you fairly easy, you know, it's kind of like with the strength turned down, it's kind of, I guess you would almost say, like gentle as far as taking things away. You could really, you know, refine in here. Somebody's probably like, he's taking a long time. Look, he just keeps going there. I don't know. I'm not gonna claim to be an expert on the lines. I'm actually trying to think my way through this, so it's not me. Normally, I would be just rambling on. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't be just rambling. Knowing how to do it this, you know, I'm trying to work my way through it. And so yeah, I welcome you guys, you know, tell me, you know, what ways to make this line look better. Anyway, edit mode, front pulls a little bit smaller. I'm gonna hit A to deselect, Z to go transparent, Control, grab them. I'm gonna hit a S to scale on the Y-axis, push these up a little bit. Back in the scope mode, looks like this should be a little bit wider. Sometimes I struggle with my thoughts of what an animal's supposed to be like and what it feels like, the feeling of it. Like when I think lions, I think power. So my brain thinks this thing should be like a, you know, muscle, you know, powerful muscle. I mean, I know it's supposed to have muscle. But I know the stomach's supposed to come out also. It's painful for me to do that. Seems like this thing's chest should be bulging. Let me go back in the scope mode. I'm going to go hit Z to go transparent. I'm going to grab this whole back end here. I'm going to hit Alt S. The whole thing a little bit thicker. Drag this back a little bit further. I'm going to hit S to scale on the Z axis. Push this down some. And this I'm going to grab here. Change this pivot point to the 3D cursor. Hit A to deselect. Z to go transparent. So I can grab all of this right here. I'm going to hit Alt. Okay, this is on proportional. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the X-axis. This. Drag this down some here. Hit Alt S. These thicker. Okay, now I'm going to put the 3D cursor here. Hit Alt S to take this down a little bit. All right, Z to go transparent. A to deselect. Co-control and right mouse button. Do that again. R to rotate on the X-axis. Back some. Let's grab the chest right here. Apologize for my ramblings, people. Somebody's waiting a long time for this, and didn't really want them to wait any longer, so trying to get through here. Rambling and all. Oh, let me turn this back to the median point, which is blended regular. G. And back just a little. This right here, I'm going to go to the side. Z. A. Let's see. Grab this here. This can be pushed up like that. We can do a back box select for the bottom of the foot here. We can hit a S to scale on the Z axis 0, which will flatten that out. Same thing over here. Zoom in closer so you can see it. A to deselect there. Gonna hit a B to Z to go transparent. B box select. The heck just happened there? Okay, there we go. 3. We'll hit a S to scale on the Z axis 0. Oh, not okay. I don't know what's camera's like. Give me a little jumping thing going on there. Let me deselect these here. It's too much, so we'll hit this off here. We'll hit that's the scale on Z axis 0. Oh, the proportional edit is doing the crap. That's what's doing it. Okay, turn the proportional edit off now. Grab all this. I guess not this. So what? S to scale on Z axis 0. There we go. That's what I wanted. I'm actually going to go Z to go transparent and try to see if I can hold control while holding the right mouse button, grab this whole shoulder part right here, hit Z to go transparent. Actually, I'm going to hit Alt O, hit G so I can see the area of influence. I'm actually going to make this a little bit wider. Better. Maybe I'll hit a little bit of Alt S, very slightly. And I think I'll hit A. I'll hit paint select this area here. You hold the right mouse button and deselect. I'm going to hit Alt S and shrink that down some. Alt S did a pretty good job there, I think. Okay. So this thing is, we'll take off this wire so you can see it. Looks a little bit too wide. Go here, hit A to select everything. We'll hit S to scale and the X-axis just a little. S to scale on the X-axis just a little, and then we'll push in. Whoops, not too much. I'm actually going to turn this wire back on to do a little bit more sculpting. Back in the edit mode, back into sculpt mode. It's got some weird stuff going on here with the neck. Grab this, pull it up, bring the neck in. See how the neck looks all weird there, right? Bring in Blender's beautiful smooth mode and watch what happens. Does a very good job. Even like this weird thing on the mouth here, kinda. It's like looking kinda weird there. Just run it. Blender scope mode is awesome. It's here. Now we'll come back into object mode. Go here. Hit Shift A and bring in the cube. This is going to be to form the mouth. We're going to hit Tab to go into the edit mode for the cube. We're going to hit a S to divide, subdivide. Take this up to 3 cuts. Whoops. 3 cuts. We're going to hit S to scale on the Z axis. Whoops, take this off. Alt O. S to scale on the Z axis. S to scale on the Y axis. 1 to go into front view. I hit period on my number keypad just to zoom right in. We're going to hit Z to go transparent, A to deselect, B to grab the half, X to delete the faces. We're going to wrench, add a mirror modifier on it, turn on clipping, turn here to make it look solid. Now we're going to hit A and we are going to hit R to rotate. Okay, I'm going to hit Z to go transparent, not go solid. And we're going to hit hit 7 to go in the top view, 5 to go in the orthographic, Z, A to deselect, B to box select here, and we're going to hit E to extrude, and pull that back, push this in, hit R to rotate, push this in a little bit more, E to extrude, not too far, push this in, 1, 2, 3, 4, you want 6 of these, E to extrude, push this in, and then E to extrude, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, good, hit R to rotate. Okay, so this is going to be the gums. Just like, again, I learned this. David D. Man. His awesome tutorials. Hopefully if he sees this, he'll be flattered. 'Cause I do think David Ward is pretty very cool dude. Anyway, I'm going to hit a X to delete these faces on top. I'm going to, with this faces right here, I'm going to hold Alt, grab here, I'm going to hit Alt S to scale this up. I'm going to grab this edge right here, one face select, I'm going to hold Alt, I'm going to hit Alt S to scale this up, just giving some shape to the gums. And then out here, I'm going to right click here, I'm going to hit I'm actually going to right click a little bit further. I'm going to hit Shift A, bring in a cube. With this cube in, I'm going to hit Control R to put a loop cut in right there. Control R to put another loop cut in right there. Control R to put another loop cut in here. I'm gonna hit Control L. Whoops, didn't select it. Okay. Control L to grab the whole thing there. I'm gonna push it towards here. I'm gonna hit S to scale to make this shrink down. Basically forming teeth here. So we gotta scale them way down. Holding Shift in the middle mouse button to pan. You ever zoom in Blender and it starts to slow down too much, hit your period key on your number keypad and it'll fix that problem. I don't know why that happens, but it's easily to fix. I didn't know how to fix it originally. To put these like here, you're going to grab this vertice right here, push straight down. As a matter of fact, hit Control L and push this here. You're going to grab your faces right here, delete tops of this, hit X, take these faces out, select right here, hit Control L, hit W to bring up the smooth tool, hit smooth, hit W again, smooth again. Hit S to scale on the Y axis, whoops, Z axis, to make these teeth longer. Now you're going to just pull them back like this. Okay, now that we have those there, we're going to just push these up into the gums a little bit. Now we can hit Shift D and duplicate them, just pull them out, push them into where we want them to. We'll hit R to rotate on the Z axis to slightly tilt them. Yeah, no, I just got crazy there with the mouse. The camera flipped. Okay, here's the top part right here. We're gonna hit Shift Z. Actually, it's better to stay on the use the manipulator so you don't lose track of where you're going. Hit Shift Z. Hit R to rotate on the Z axis to turn them out. Shift Z. R to rotate on the Z axis. Shift Z. R to rotate on the Z axis. Shift D is what I'm supposed to be saying. Shift D duplicates. Don't get frustrated. Alright, so there we go with that. So now what we want to do that we have that is we want to, so we're in a separate object. We're going to hit A to grab all of that. We're going to hit Shift D to duplicate. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit S to scale on the Z axis -1 and just push this down like here. You're now going to hit Control N so the normals are right. Then you're going to hit S to scale on the X axis. Push these in a little bit so they'll do right. Just like Mr. David says. Alt S. Whoops. Don't want to Alt S. Don't do that. And hit S to scale. Make them a little bit bigger. Make sure that they place right. Hit S to scale on the X axis. Whoop, I think I just messed. Hit Control Z. Yeah, that's not good. This is good. Alright, so now what you're going to do is hit A to select all of them. Okay, now we're just going to, actually, nope, we're not going to do that. Hit Control Z. What you're going to do is we're in edit mode. So in edit mode, you can't push this over to place this in the mouse. So what you're going to have to do is hit Tab to go into object mode. And in object mode, you're going to push it over. Normally, I don't advocate moving things in object mode, but it's necessary in this case. And actually, before we put these in, let's put a hit Tab, go back into it, hit Control 2 That automatically puts a subdivision surface on them. You can hit W to bring up your specials menu and hit shade smooth. And now your teeth should look fairly decent. Alright, so now back in object mode, you can push these up into the lion's mouth. Look where they would be positioned at. You're gonna hit we'll hit Shift C to make sure the cursor is directly in the front. Then for our teeth, we'll hit Shift S and then selected to cursor. Oh, that didn't work. Control Z, Shift S, we'll hit selecting the cursor offset. Still didn't work. Control Z. Because I guess the mirror modifier on there, so have mercy on me with this tutorial, people. Alright, so we're going to hit tab to go into edit mode, hit S to scale on the x-axis. S to scale. S to scale again. Push this in. Trying to place these. Try S to scale on the Z-axis a little bit. A little bit better placement. Okay, and once you have these in place, what you can do is you can, with these selected, you can hit tab to go back into object mode, and then you can hit shift on the lion and hit Control J, and now the teeth will be a part of the lion. So we can hit A to deselect them, and you can sharpen them up and all that. Okay, now we're going to hit tab to come back out in object mode. We'll take we'll hit this the object data button, and we'll take this wire off so you can see a little bit better. Okay, now what you're going to do is hit Shift C. You're then going to hit Shift A, and you're going to go down to meta ball and select ball. Then I'm going to hit tab to go into edit mode. Take your manipulator and draw this ball up. You're going to hit S to make it a little bit bigger. Now you're going to hit Shift D. Drag it to the side and back. A little bit in front of the ear, but a little bit mostly behind the ear. Hit Shift D again. Down, and take a wild guess what we're doing here. We're forming the mane, so you're going to hit Shift D, drag it to the other side, Shift D, drag it up. Don't want it too much, gotta control it so it doesn't get too crazy with the covering up the ears. Shift D, take your manipulator and push it down. Shift D again. S to scale it down just a little. Oh, I hit Control Z. I meant to draw that back. Drag it back. Shift D. Take your manipulator. Shift D. Make this mane go back a little bit further. Shift D. And then Shift D is just the easiest way I found to let the meta ball, you know, do its thing. Shift D, back a little bit more. I'm gonna hit Shift D and pull it all the way back and bring it forward here. Whoops, I brought it out. I'm gonna hit S to scale it down some. Shift D, I'll push it to the other side. Hit Shift D again. As the scale. Shift D yet again. This other side. Now I'm doing all this shaping. When I do the next technique, it's probably going to bring it out of shape anyway, but it's hard when you're shaping it not to just, you know, try to get it in the shape that you think it should be. And now what you're going to do is make sure you're in object mode. You can go into object mode again by hitting tab. And you're going to select object right here. Look in this list. If you don't see convert in this list, hit that arrow to go up. You'll see convert to. You want to go to where it says mesh from curve meta data, and Alt C is the shortcut for it. You click here. That just converted it into a mesh. You're now going to go back into the edit mode. You're then going to go to sculpt mode. You're going to go to brain draw. You're going to go down to typology. You're going to go to enable dynamic typology. You're going to change the, pull this out some, change the strength down to 0. And where it says subdivide edges, you're going to change this to collapsed edges. And you're going to hit shift. Whoops, you're going to hit Z. What you're going to do is hit F to make your brush very big. And then you're going to zoom out so that the main is very small compared. So we're just doing that to lower down the geometry. I tend to, typically when I animate to, I mean not animate, I model to make things animatable, so you don't want to have that the main gets so crazy that it's, you know, unmanageable. Okay, so now we're going to go to edit. We're almost through this. People are almost done with the suffering of listening to me ramble on. Okay, we're going to go hit tab to go into object mode. We're going to select the lion. We're going to go to the modifier menu. We're going to turn the eye off. Whoops, not that eye. The eye in the mirror modifier, so we can go halfway in. We're going to hit tab to go in. We're going to grab these two. Whoops, we're going to hold shift. We're going to grab right here. We're going to hit E to extrude. To bring a tongue out, we're going to hit E to extrude again. Just so that there's a tongue in behind these teeth. We'll push it down a little bit. We'll hit S to scale. And I'm going to hit Control L. Yep, that grabs everything. Don't want that. We're going to hit A to deselect. You're going to hit a face select. You're just going to hold shift and just select the tongue inside. You're going to delete this right here. Hit X delete the faces because it'll give you obviously a problem when the mirror modifier comes back on. So you can select the inside of the tongue just like this. Hit Control Space to take away this manipulator. You need a smooth zoom in. Just hold Control, push your middle mouse button in. Select all these faces here. Try to dodge that tooth. If your setup's like mine, now you're going to hit S to scale on the Z axis. Hit Control Space to bring back the manipulator. Then we'll hit with this still selected, we'll turn the eye back on. And you can see the tongue in there is split, so we'll just push this together and you can see now, you know, it's the tongue is in there. I didn't even notice this thing. Can we get Control L here? And Control L here. I didn't know that this was split, so we'll push that together, and that with this clipping on, that'll make that join there. Okay, and let's just do some last minute things. We'll go back into scope mode very quickly. Go to grab, we'll turn the strength back up to about 500. And I will turn this back on. Crap, I don't want Control Z. Sure, let's go to edit mode. Just trying to shut his mouth a little bit so he's not so extremely menacing looking. There we go. And to give it a little bit more of a lion maul thing going on. So to the side a little bit more. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. For all you out there who support this channel, who like these videos and share these videos, thank you, I appreciate it. To all you who are new to this channel, if you like this video and you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for viewing.